In order to willingly get locked up in a cage with another trained killer and basically try to kill each other for 15 minutes or more, you have to be somewhat insane in your mind. For most MMA fighters, the octagon is a controlled environment where they can channel their violence and extreme aggression, and as soon as the fight is over, they return to being nice, normal human beings. However, for some, that's just not enough, and their darker impulses lead them to commit heinous and evil crimes. In today's video, we're going to delve into the stories of 10 of the most evil MMA fighters ever to exist. Number 10. Vyacheslav Datsik. Datsik might not be the most famous name in MMA, but he sure made waves when he knocked out Andrei Arlovsky in 1999. But that's about the only good thing people know about him. Datsik ended his fighting career with a record of 6 wins and 9 losses. Things took a bizarre turn when he joined the Russian Nationalist Party. Datsik held extreme anti-Semitic and anti-Christian views and was a fierce advocate for Slavic paganism. He even claimed he was Red Tarzan, supposedly the son of the Slavic god Perun. His life outside the cage was just as chaotic. After escaping from prison following an armed robbery, Datsik became infamous for his violent raids on brothels, where he would assault women and force them onto the street without their clothes. He then fled to Norway by boat, crossing the border illegally. He then appeared at the International Police Immigration Service in Oslo, armed and declaring himself a white warrior, while requesting political asylum. During this time, he sported Nazi symbols and openly proclaimed, "I am not a nationalist, but a racist." The police soon raided a tattoo shop associated with him and his neo-Nazi acquaintances, finding illegal weapons, Nazi paraphernalia, and reports of bizarre behavior, including naked fighting and boxing. Hey, I bet the north to south position would be very interesting in those naked matches. Ultimately, he was deported from Norway in March 2011. Despite rumors of his death in a Russian prison fight in the same year, authorities confirmed he was alive and well. Datsik was finally released from custody in 2016 after serving a total of 9 years. Number 9. Joe Sun. This guy really takes the cake for being one of the most notorious names out there. With a less than stellar 0 wins and 4 losses record in MMA, he really took a beating in the ring. Maybe that's what tipped him over the edge into complete madness. Back in 1990, he got wrapped up in some seriously dark business, charged with involvement in a gang-related sexual assault. The specifics of the case are downright chilling. He was convicted of torture for pistol whipping and sexually assaulting his victim, landing him a life sentence. But if you think prison bars stopped him from causing more trouble, think again. In 2011, Sun was found guilty of killing his cellmate, beating the man to death. Just pure evil. Safe to say, he's never getting out of prison alive. Number 8. War Machine. When someone legally changes their name from Jonathan Koppenhaver to War Machine, it might be a signal that something's off. As a fighter, he was pretty skilled, racking up a record of 19 wins against 5 losses. He competed on The Ultimate Fighter and later joined Bellator. Despite his professional success, there were red flags. War Machine had a history of minor assault charges, but then things took a horrific turn. In 2014, he brutally attacked his girlfriend, Christy Mack, leaving her with severe injuries, 18 broken bones, multiple broken teeth, and a ruptured liver. His actions landed him a life sentence in prison, with the possibility of parole after 36 years. Now, if you think that was evil, wait until you check out our next fighter in the list. You will be shocked. Number 7. Jared Wyatt. His name might not ring a bell, and that's probably a good thing. He stepped into professional cage fighting just once, and let's just say his career was short-lived. Despite the brief stint, the media quickly branded him as an MMA fighter, which really just played into the old stereotype of fighters being nothing more than cage-brawling brutes. But here's where it gets really twisted. In a drug-fueled frenzy, Wyatt ended up murdering his sparring partner, Taylor Powell. He didn't just stop at murder. He gruesomely tore out his friend's heart and tongue and even skinned his face. All the while, Wyatt insisted he thought Powell was possessed by the devil. Talk about taking things to a horrifying level. For this nightmarish crime, he was handed a 50-year sentence in 2010. So much for fighting demons, right? Number 6. Lee Murray. When Dana White calls someone a scary son of a bitch, he's not even talking about fighting in the cage, you know it's serious. That's Lee Murray for you. A guy who was pretty tough in MMA. He even fought Anderson Silva at Cage Rage, where he lost by decision. He managed to snag 1 UFC win before he was barred from entering the U.S. due to multiple violent assault charges. His violent lifestyle eventually led him to being stabbed, which forced him to retire from MMA. Now, if he left it at that, it would have been quite a story already. But Lee Murray didn't stop there. He was the brains behind the biggest bank heist in British history, walking away with a whopping £53 million. He ended up getting caught in Morocco and was initially slapped with a 10-year prison sentence, which later got bumped up to 25 years. Definitely not the kind of fun he had in mind. Number 5. Josh Grisby. He had a promising start in MMA, rising to become the #1 contender in the WEC lightweight division. He was even lined up to fight Jose Aldo for the UFC featherweight title. However, when Aldo was injured, Grisby decided not to wait and instead faced Dustin Poirier, a fight he lost badly. This decision marked the beginning of his rapid decline in MMA. But the troubles didn't stop there. Grisby's actions outside the cage were even more shocking. He trained his bull terrier to attack his wife, which is about as sinister as it gets. In 2014, he was convicted for assaulting his wife twice, and during their marriage, he was continuously abusive. When police arrested him, they also found 15 marijuana plants and 15 grams of cocaine in the house. Grisby is currently serving time in prison for these crimes. Number 4. Hermes Franca. The Brazilian fighter was once a standout on the MMA scene, holding the WEC lightweight title and challenging top UFC contenders, including a notable win over Nate Diaz. However, in 2011, his life took a darker turn when he was charged with multiple battery charges, specifically related to the sexual assault of a minor who was a student at his training facility in Clackamas, Oregon. Franca pleaded guilty to 1 count of attempted unlawful penetration and was sentenced to 42 months in prison. He also faced probation and was required to register as a sex offender. Eventually, Franca was deported back to Brazil. After serving his sentence and returning from a 3-year hiatus, Franca attempted a comeback at Extreme Fighter in August 2014, facing Marcio Breno. It wasn't the return he hoped for, as he was knocked out in the first round. Number 3. Amar Soloev. Starting his career with the Russian Red Devils Sport Club, Soloev debuted in M1 Global in 1999, initially losing to Andrei Semenov, but later avenging this defeat in Brazil at the World Vale Tudo Championship. His performance there won him the WVC 11 middleweight tournament. His skills earned him a spot in the UFC, where he fought notable fighters like Chuck Liddell at UFC 35. After the UFC, Soloev fought in Pride, Japan's premier MMA organization. But out of the octagon, Soloev's life was marked by controversy. He was accused of involvement in assassination attempts against Russian political figures, though he was never convicted due to inconsistencies and lack of evidence in the prosecution's case. His trial was ongoing when he was diagnosed with stage 4 stomach cancer, leading to his release on bail. At the end, cancer killed him shortly after. Number 2. Alexander Emelianenko. Known mostly because of his famous older brother, Fedor, Alexander Emelianenko carved out a somewhat middling career in Pride, where he was seen more as a gatekeeper. He managed wins against average competitors, but struggled to defeat top-tier fighters and replicate his brother's success. Alexander's personal life, however, took a dark turn. He was accused of assaulting and raping Polina Stepanova, his former housekeeper, on May 2, 2014. Emelianenko maintained his innocence, claiming the encounter was consensual. The prosecution sought a 5-year prison term for him. On May 19, 2015, he was found guilty of sexual assault and sentenced to 4.5 years in prison. In addition to a fine of 50,000 rubles, which is about $1,000, his promoter, Oleg Rajewski, announced plans to appeal the verdict. However, the appeal was denied on September 24, 2015. Alexander Emelianenko was released on parole in October 2016 and made a return to MMA competition in 2017. Number 1. Jeremy Jackson. The Scorpion left the MMA scene with a decent record of 14 wins and 5 losses, but his claim to fame was being the only man to ever finish Nick Diaz in the ring. Sadly, that might be the only positive highlight in his life. He's currently serving a 25-year sentence for a particularly heinous crime. Back in 2008, he broke into his girlfriend's house, threatened her with a firearm, and sexually abused her. He was arrested and faced charges of aggravated rape, the bail set at a staggering $1 million. Ignoring his lawyer's advice, he pleaded guilty to all charges and received a 25-year prison sentence. Okay, which of these insanely evil MMA fighters shocked you the most? Go ahead and tell us your valuable opinion in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn the notifications on so you won't miss any of our videos. That's it for today. Until then, remember to protect yourself at all times.